I'm going to do my first movie review to compare the classic film Endless Love versus the updated version remake. Same title, of course, Endless Love. I'm not sure if it came out in 2013 or 2014, so I'm just going to go under the assumption that it came out in 2013. The original came out in 1981. This one came out 30 some years later. I was kind of skeptical of the remake because a lot of times remakes, they don't hold up to like the originals. But I'll get to that in a few minutes. So basically what the original is about, I don't want to give away too much. It's a 1980s take, like a Romeo and Juliet type story. It's definitely a teen romance film. The actors are in their teens, and Brooke Shields' character Jade comes from a rich family, while David's character David comes from sort of like a working poorer family. I mean, both in a nice Chicago suburb, set in 1980, 81, or 79. The book, actually, I found out, came out in 1979. I haven't gotten around to reading the book. I'm thinking about it someday. So if I do, I'll do a separate review on that. What I like about the film is it has music from the 80s, the hairstyles, the fashions. The story is pretty consistent with the times, how teenagers fell in love. But as the story goes on, it kind of gets very dramatic and unrealistic. Based on my own experiences with falling in love, my family definitely were not doctors and lawyers or anything like that, and they were hardworking people. So my parents and I could not really relate with this. Only I could, because I was 10, 11, starting to take an interest in love. But it was more for people that graduate, high school, that kind of crowd at the time. And as the story progresses, like I said, I don't want to give away too much. The sad part of the film goes in the second act of the movie, and then things sort of get crazy. But I think the guy that plays David played a very, very good part, I thought. And I'll tell you, Brooke Shields is... If you ever seen her in the Blue Lagoon, yeah, she was very beautiful. Still beautiful today for her age. But, yeah, in this film, yeah, she did a very good, convincing part. I mean, the chemistry between the two actors, yeah, it's just very believable. It holds up to, 40 years later, holds up very, very well. I don't want to give away too much. The ending was very sad. So if whoever wrote the script and book got their point across. But in real life, I don't, today's standards, it wouldn't be possible. Especially the age of the characters in the original film. Jade, I think, was 15, I think. Yeah, she was 15. Maybe 16, but 15. And David, he was like 17, I think. So yeah, he got in some trouble with Jade's father there, who was a doctor, and yeah, everything just goes downhill. There was like an incident because the two kids, the two teenagers, they're madly, hotly in love, and they got a few steamy scenes in the original film. I mean, back then, more nudity was encouraged during that era of teen films and stuff. Today, with teenagers and everything, it's kind of more conservative in a lot of ways. Um, but the original film, I never went to the movie theater to see that because I never really kind of had an interest. And it wasn't until much, much later when after I got married and 36 years after the original film came out that I always had a curiosity because I'm a fan of Lionel Richie's music, and that I got really, really curious to see the original, and I have a copy of it. So it's really good. It holds up through a test of time. I mean, it's like a classic Romeo and Juliet story from the 80s. So if people want nostalgia or visit a time era of the 80s, the first Endless Love is a classic timepiece, 80s timepiece for of the teen high school era of the 80s. Kind of like goes right up there where A Risky Business. I'm trying to think of another. Oh, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Yeah. And a side note, a tidbit. In Endless Love, you catch one scene of a young Tom Cruise. I think Tom Cruise is like 18, 19 years old. There's a scene where he's in the tube socks and the cheesy shorts that a lot of the guys wore in high school, and he's throwing the football back and forth in high school there. So yeah, Tom Cruise was an up and coming actor, not like today. And I think his big break was Risky Business in 1983. I like the original Endless Love, but it is sort of a tearjerker in the end. So and it breaks a lot of hearts. So that's as much as I'm going to tell people who never seen the original, so I don't ruin it for them. So with that being said, now I'm going to go into this version. And I was kind of skeptical at first, because like I said a little earlier, that remakes, a lot of times, they don't really hold up like the originals. But I was really, really surprised with this version. I have done a little bit of creative writing, as I say, so if I'm not satisfied with a movie ending and I like the movie so much, I will write an alternate ending as a hobby. I won't publish it or anything, just to see if I can come up with some ideas of how the original would have came out if it was written differently. But in this version that I watched, it kind of started off, I was kind of like skeptical, but then I started getting, about 5-10 minutes into the film, I started really getting into it. And of course, if you're going to remake something, you got to modernize it. You can't recreate it in its original time. They did that, I think, with Starsky and Hutch, and that didn't work. So, but this new version, the 2010s, believe it or not, these two actors are English, but in the film, they must have gone through like voice acting training because they sounded American. I was just really, really surprised. I couldn't believe it. I watched the behind the scenes footage, how they made the film, and the director and the screenwriters did a very absolutely kudos, really good job. They got the right actors, the same names. This is Jade and this is David right here. Same names and everything. I think in the new one it's set in Georgia, not Chicago. So yeah, it sort of followed. Most of it followed the formula of the original, but they altered it and to get with the times. And I just thought, as you get through the film, it's really, really good. I mean, me being a guy, I mean, I guess I'm one of them. I'm in the minority. I like romance films, and surprisingly, this one, believe it or not, had a happy ending. I was like, wow. I was like, that's what I would have done myself. So I felt very happy for this version of David and Jade. I not going to give anything away because you have to see the movie, of course, like the other. I would suggest watching the original first, then watch the new version, or you can do vice versa. But the pros of the original, I feel, is the music, the intensity of the romance is very strong. The cons is the ending. Is by today's standards is depressing, and how they, you look back at it, it's kind of like, David fighting his love for Jade, just like the new David and new David was fighting his love for this Jade. So, I rate the original A for originality, but I give it a C for the ending, because even at that time, how it ended, it would not have been realistic. But it's a movie. What do you expect, right? So, this, on the other hand, I mean, the ending's not really. I mean, the ending, how everything is sort of resolved is. I give it a B, and I'll even give it an A minus, because I was so happy that this version had a happy ending. I think it was a little more realistic. I mean, it went a little way out there in happy endings. I mean, but like I said, it's a movie. But if people like romances, Romeo and Juliet types. So overall, boy, this is tough. I will have to say, nobody, please don't bash me, because I am a fan of the 80s. I grew up in an era. I have to give the original a B, and I'm going to have to give this one, this version, surprisingly, I give it an A. This is a more happier version. It's, like I said, the movie is a little bit rushed, but people like me who've seen the original will understand, so it doesn't really need explaining. You kind of connect with it. So, if you guys want to see couples want to see a good movie, I recommend both versions, but especially this version. So, you want a date night, watch this. This is a very, very good film. And with that being said, until next time, be safe, be happy, and have a good summer out there. God bless.